Back in 2007, I graduated high school. I had a whole life ahead of me. I had so many possibilities down the road in my life. My parents loved me. There was a woman I loved. And I was a pretty smart guy. But that was 2010. This is 2014. In the 4 years since then, I have accomplished exactly nothing. I haven't gone to college, haven't gotten a job, haven't even received a single paycheck, and I still haven't even gotten my driver's license. But my love life is even more pathetic. I've never gotten laid, never been on a date, never kissed a woman, never even held a woman's hand. The truth is, I'm just as successful as when I was 7. I'm what you would call a loser. My life is consumed with TV, video games, and computer. Every day I realize I could and should be out there in the world, doing things. I say to myself every day that I'll do it tomorrow. I'll get a job tomorrow. I'll lose some weight tomorrow. I'll sign up for college tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes. Instead, my life exists in a perpetual cycle. I wake up around noon, microwave something frozen for breakfast, use the computer, play games for hours and hours, then go to bed. My parents are desperate to see me out getting a job, and as I said, I know full well that I should. But there's just no motivation. I'm what you would call stuck. I became so pathetic, I was dreaming of sex more often than not. I always considered myself a guy of high morals and didn't want to just fuck like that, you know? I always considered myself a romantic. Sure, getting laid would be great, but I'd also like something more than that. This is partially where my story begins. I was talking to Trent, a guy I knew from high school. I'd moved away after high school, so I didn't have any contact with my old classmates aside from the internet. He asked me how I was doing, and the subject of dating came up. I couldn't tell him that I'd never done anything in that department at all, so I told him I did have a girlfriend. That night, I had a dream about the girl I described to him. That was nice. The next night, I had a weird dream where I talked to Trent. Weird one looked to be a funeral. At a room that was a mix between my grandma's living room and a church. I couldn't actually hear him say anything, but I responded as if I knew that the conversation was going the way it had in real life. A few other guys I knew from high school began hooting and hollering when I said I had a girlfriend. This is where my story truly begins. It was the day after I had that dream. As per usual, I was browsing the internet. I'd settled on my usual message boards, nothing out of the ordinary. But the first time in months, I received a message from somebody on King's Bazaar. I'm not well known there and don't post often, so I didn't know why anyone would be contacting me. When I opened the message, it was from a user called LDM43. Well, that's a weird name. Their avatar, signature, and everything else in the profile was sugary, cutesy pink. Their avatar was a baby kitten with angel wings on a pink cloud. I nearly gagged with how overly sweet this was. I took note that her profile was fully fleshed out, but they had no posts or anything of the sort. They had no interactions, nothing. The message they sent me was something that didn't exactly make sense to me until much later. Am I really your girlfriend? Oh, I swear you won't regret it. I love you too, and I think we'll be very happy together. Danielle. I figured this might be just spam or something, so I just deleted the message and went about my business. 2 days later, I got another message from LDM43. Hey, how come you never responded? You said I was your girlfriend. Talk to you soon, Danielle. What a persistent, oddly specific spam bot. I'd never seen a spam bot employ continuity before, but again, I feared it was still spam and simply deleted the message. Maybe I would respond if they messaged me again. And message me again they did. The day after that, I received another message, this time a bit different from the last ones. Why won't you talk to me? I thought we were in love. We were meant to be, Daniel. We even have the same name. Now please, stop being silly and talk to me. Danny. This couldn't be a spam bot. No spam bot can guess your name. It could have just been a lucky guess. Holy shit, that would be the king of all coincidences. I was apprehensive to respond to this girl. I had no idea who she was, or how she knew who I was. There was something very suspicious about this whole thing. I decided to contact her moderator. I explained to the mod that I'd never told anyone online my name, and had nothing connecting to my real life to my internet life, and that there was no way they would know it was me, even if I did know them in real life. The mod said he'd run an IP check on the LDM43 account. After a short while, the mod got back to me. According to them, the messages were being sent from my IP address. I insisted that had to be a mistake. Was somebody pirating my internet or something? Would that even lead them to registering as the same IP? None of it made any sense. I decided I would message her back. Who are you exactly? How do you know my name? Why do you have the same IP address as me? I'm your girlfriend. We're in love. You told me so. Of course, I know my one true love's name. Stop saying that. I don't know anyone named Daniela. I think you have the wrong person. Why are you saying things like this? Is there somebody else? At this point, I decided to ignore her. It was better to simply cut all ties with her now. Something weird was going on, but putting it entirely in the past would get that out of me, right? I decided I'd simply go to bed then. Everything was normal for a few days afterward. This is where the real trouble started. I visited King's Bazaar only to see a new thread. Troubling news was the title. Dear users of King's Bazaar, we have received troubling news from the police. King Browser's moderator, Chunafloy, real name Jason Weber, was found dead in his home in Traverse City, Michigan yesterday. The police say it was a homicide. Details of his death will not be discussed any further here. Our condolences go to Jason Weber's family and friends. Rest in peace, brother. Chunafloy was the mod I asked for help with Daniela. Now, this was way too much of a coincidence. I didn't want to read the thread. I couldn't shake the feeling that Daniela was somehow involved in this. If I was right, I involved him in it, and I got him killed. I didn't want to read the thread, and seeing the sadness of the people whose friend I may have taken away. I didn't read the thread until I noticed something that chilled me a bit. Last post by LDM43, 1 minute ago. What would she say? I was almost mortified by the idea. So sorry to hear about Chunafloy. He was the best mod, even though he tended to look a little too deeply into things. R.I.P. He tended to look a little too deeply into things. What the hell did that mean? I decided I'd send her a message. Who the hell are you and what did you do? I'm your girlfriend, like you said. I can't wait for us to be more. Sometimes people need to learn not to stick their noses where they don't belong. Now it's time for the police to get involved. It became obvious at this point that she'd somehow found out Jonah Floyd ran her IP check and killed him for it. But how? How did she know? I contacted the police and showed them the PMs between me and her and how she essentially confessed involvement in Jonah Floyd's death. They took it into consideration and said they'd get back to me on it. They got back to me on it a few days later. They said they found my fingerprints at the crime scene. Jonah Floyd lived in Michigan, somewhere I've never been and don't live anywhere near. So how the hell could my fingerprints be there? Now things were beginning to make less sense than ever. The police considered me a suspect, but not a strong one. Even with the physical evidence, they placed his death at 9:43 in the morning, the time when I was asleep, and I'd been seen awake at my house at around 1 p.m. The police understood that there was no way I could have made it to Michigan, committed a murder, and made it back home in a few hours, all without anybody noticing. The investigation hit a roadblock, as the person the evidence was screaming toward had an indisputable alibi, and combined with the IP address thing, there was no evidence other than the suspect even existed. The police were under the impression that I'd been sending those messages to myself, but had no answers as to how I could have committed the murder. Up in the corner of my King's Bazaar page, I saw something that made me take a double take. My little mail icon indicated 26 new messages. Are you mad at me? I didn't mean to do anything bad. I'm sorry. But people need to learn. If you know, it'll scare you off. I'm sorry. Danny, talk to me. Where are you? Danny, don't do this. Why are you mad? He deserved it. People shouldn't get in the way of true love. Danny, this doesn't have anything to do with me. We can still be together. We will still be together. Wouldn't I be a perfect wife for you? I'll do anything you want. Danny, I'm so hungry for you. Danny, I'm already yours. Do whatever you want to. Danny, I want you inside me so bad. I can already feel you. Oh no, Danny, I'm blushing. You're so cute when you're flustered. I can only imagine what you taste like. Danny, your picture still gets the job done every time. What the actual fuck? All 26 of those messages were listed as having been sent out in a span of about a minute and a half. Something was really wrong about this. I've never posted any pictures of myself anywhere. Not on Facebook, nothing. I decided I wanted nothing to do with this anymore. I decided I'd leave King's Bazaar and block her just to be safe. I tried to go on with my life, what I had. For weeks, I chatted with a few people I knew from high school, moved on to a new site, kept a fairly low profile. The new site I got to was Black Pond Road. It was a simple place, similar to King's Bazaar. I befriended a guy named Brusque. Brusque was a smart guy who knew a lot about the site's subject, although he was a bit of a grammar Nazi. A few weeks after I became involved in Black Pond Road, I saw something that made my blood go cold for a few seconds. Newest member, LDM 43. How? How could she have followed me here? I wasn't even using the same screen name. How was she tracking where I was going? I thought about reporting her to the site staff, telling them that she was a person who had harassed me in the past. But I knew that doing that might get somebody else killed. Within minutes of joining her site, her page was completely filled out with all the sugary pink details from King's Bazaar. I watched apprehensively for days. She never made a move. She never contacted me or posted anything. I began to try and distance myself from Black Pond Road. But didn't want to drop out of it completely. I would do that when I needed to. For months, I went on without anything odd happening. Daniela seemed completely... Daniela seemed content, simply observing what I was doing. I began to have odd dreams. A young black-haired girl would walk into my bedroom while sleeping and entertain me. She looked to be in her late teens or early 20s. I had no idea why I keep having this dream. I had never had recurring dreams before, but considering its subject matter, I really didn't mind. One day in June, I got a message from Trent. He asked me how my new girlfriend was doing. Still intent on keeping up with the masquerade, I told him she was doing fine. He asked me what her name was. For some reason that I still cannot explain, I told him her name was Daniela. When the conversation was over, I wondered out loud why the fuck I did that. From what I gathered, Daniela seemed to be watching me, so saying that would probably fuel her fire. One new message. Danny, I'm so glad you let me up to tell your friends about me. I'm happy to know your heart sings when you think of me the way mine does of you. XO, 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 XO. I'm a fucking idiot. I knew I'd have to watch what I said from now on. I still have no clue how she could possibly be watching me. But I was positive that she was. I blocked her on Black Pond Road as well.